It was just another random Tuesday afternoon, the kind where nothing exciting was supposed to happen. The sky hung low with gray clouds, the kind that threatened rain but didn't deliver. I had just wrapped up training, my hoodie pulled over my head, sweat still clinging to my skin. My plan? Grab some snacks from the corner store and head home. Simple. But, as life often likes to remind you, simple doesn't always stay simple. My name's Dave Johnson, 28, and yeah, I'm a UFC champion. Not one of those social media posers you see flexing on Instagram. I'm the real deal. Titles, belts, blood, sweat, the whole 9 yards. But none of that matters when you're a black guy in a small town parking lot. Out here, people see what they want to see. And right now, the cop parked across from me had decided I was his next big problem. I first noticed him when I came out of the store, a bag of chips and a soda in hand. His patrol car was parked right in front, and there he was, leaning against the hood, arms crossed. His eyes followed me like a hawk stalking prey. I felt his gaze burning into the back of my head as I strolled toward my car. It wasn't the first time I'd been sized up like this, but something about his demeanor screamed, "I'm looking for a reason. Here we go again." I muttered to myself, keeping my steps measured and calm. Years in the octagon had taught me how to read people, and this guy was giving off "I'm about to ruin your day" vibes. I kept my focus on my car, hoping he'd let it slide. But no, he pushed off his cruiser and started walking toward me. Slow, deliberate, like he was in some kind of Wild West showdown. "Hey, boy," he barked, his voice gruff and loud enough to echo across the nearly empty lot. "What's that in your pockets?" I stopped in my tracks, raising an eyebrow. "Seriously? It's just snacks, man," I said, my voice steady. I pulled out the receipt, holding it up. "I paid for it. We good." But this guy wasn't interested in peaceful resolutions. He was here for a show. "Don't get smart with me, son," he snapped, stepping closer. I said, "Show me what you got." He glanced at the receipt, but didn't even pretend to care. "Loitering around here. Huh. Or maybe you're up to something worse. Petty theft? Or something bigger?" His smirk made my blood simmer. I knew the drill. He was fishing, trying to get a rise out of me. If he couldn't find a reason to escalate, he'd create one. Classic power trip. I kept my cool, pulling the chips and soda out of the bag slowly, making sure my movements were deliberate. "You got nothing better to do than hassle a guy over snacks?" I asked, my tone sharp but controlled. His smirk twisted into something uglier. "I know your type," he spat, stepping even closer. "Walking around here, thinking you're above the law, playing the victim card. Not on my watch." My jaw tightened, but I didn't take the bait. This wasn't about me stealing chips or breaking any law. This was about control. He saw me as someone who needed to be put in his place, and he was determined to do just that. "Look, officer," I said, keeping my voice calm, "you've got the receipt. I paid for my stuff. So, what's the issue?" But he wasn't listening. Guys like him never do. "Don't play dumb with me, boy," he snapped, his voice rising. "You think you're clever? Walking around here like the rules don't apply?" I wanted to laugh in his face, but I knew better. One wrong word, one wrong move, and this situation could spiral out of control. The real fight here wasn't physical. It was about control, and I wasn't about to hand him the power he was so desperate for. Then it happened. When he realized I wasn't going to give him a reason to escalate, he decided to skip straight to the part where he asserted his authority. He grabbed my shoulder, rough and sudden, shoving me toward the car. "Hands on the hood," he barked, his breath hot and foul in my face. Instinct kicked in. Years of training had taught me how to read an opponent's moves before they made them. I sidestepped, slick and quick, evading his grip. "Not today, officer," I muttered under my breath. That pissed him off. His face turned red, and before I knew it, he whipped out his baton. "Oh, now we're doing this? Cool." He waved the baton like he was auditioning for some bad action movie. The tension in the air was thick, and I could feel the adrenaline kicking in. I knew his type, guys who thought their badge gave them all the power in the world. But this wasn't his world anymore. I saw the swing coming before he even wound up. Muscle memory took over. And before he knew what was happening, I'd snatched the baton right out of his hand. The look on his face? Pure gold. He stumbled back, his bravado crumbling as he tried to process how he'd just been disarmed faster than he could say, "Freeze." "You crazy," he barked, trying to recover. "You're under arrest." "For what? Defending myself?" I shot back, twirling the baton in my hand like a toy. "Or is this just about your ego?" By now, a small crowd had gathered, phones out, recording every second. I could hear whispers and gasps, but I stayed focused. This wasn't about showing off. It was about staying alive. He lunged at me again, cuffs out, but I sidestepped with ease, making him look like a rookie. "Nice try, officer," I said with a grin, dodging another clumsy attempt at a tackle. "You're going to have to do better than that." Then she appeared. A woman stepped out of the store, phone in hand, her voice loud enough to cut through the chaos. "What the hell is going on here?" she yelled, pointing her camera straight at us. The cop froze mid-step, his eyes darting to the phone like it was a gun. Reality hit him like a freight train. This wasn't just between us anymore. Now, the whole world was watching. "You even know who this is?" the woman shouted, turning to the crowd. "That's Dave freaking Johnson, a UFC champion." The cop's face turned a shade of pale I didn't think was possible. He stammered, his grip on the cuffs loosening as the weight of his mistake sank in. By the next morning, the video was everywhere. "Cop gets checked by UFC champ" was trending on every platform. Clips, memes, reaction videos. It was a full-blown internet sensation. News outlets picked it up, and by the end of the day, the cop was suspended pending an investigation. But for me, this wasn't just about one cop with a bruised ego. It was about something much bigger. I knew I had the privilege of my title and the visibility to make noise. But what about the people who didn't? How many others had been steamrolled by the same system, simply for existing? I started talking. I shared my story with every media outlet that would listen. But I didn't stop at the viral video. I pointed out the bigger picture: systemic racism, abuse of power, the way certain people are targeted just for the color of their skin. This wasn't just a fight in a parking lot. It was a fight that's been going on for generations. And while I didn't have to throw a punch that day, I knew the real fight was only just beginning. For every person who watched that video and laughed, I hoped they also saw the message. This isn't about one bad cop. It's about a system that needs to change. And me? I'll keep fighting, not just in the octagon, but for the people who need it most. Because this is a fight worth winning.